Good morning, everybody. Dave Schmidt along with Matt Nestor and producer Tom Warner here on the Stateline Sports Hour. Good to have you along. And the streak is over, and we're going to talk about that right now. That's probably one thing marked off of Coach Tim Sughroue's bucket list, beating Boylan and ending the streak. First of all, Coach, congratulations on the big win last night.
Thank you. We're really happy with where our kids played last night.
You know, Coach, we kind of talked about it a little bit last night. You know, you had the tough loss last year, and you guys had a lot of turnovers in the second half. You know, how nervous are you when you guys open up the second half last night and you fumble and Boylan scores, and then you have the interception return for a touchdown?
You know, I think one of the things last year I thought we just got really tight, and especially when things went bad, we played tight, and we just kept telling our kids, hey, we're going to get the ball back and we're going to do what we do. And there are, a few times, kids were feeling a little anxious, maybe coaches, and I just, kept reaffirming that we're going to do what we do. We run the ball and we pound it at people. There's plenty of time to come back, and we're going to use up some clock, and we're going to make this game close and win it in the end. And that's exactly what our kids ended up doing. I think this team really believes in what we try to do, and I think that's a huge part of it.
You know, we were talking earlier in the show, Coach, that last year you guys had the big lead and Boylan came back. This year they get that 2-touchdown lead, and your kids come back. That's really something you can build on the rest of the season, too, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we came back twice. We came back from a 2-touchdown deficit, and then to tie it up, and then to go down with 3 minutes left in the game the way that we did. And a lot of teams would just fold up and give in. But there was never any talk of that. We got a good return. I thought Shayla Brunell played just outstanding on special teams, punt returns and kick returns, and making tackles, and got us in a good position. And our kids just marched down the field on them and got it done in the end.
Talk a little bit more about Burrell last night, because I thought that was a big difference in the game. Early in the game, he set you guys up with wonderful field position and even helped you get good field position late in the game because they kicked away from him and kicked shorter, which just set you guys up well too.
Yeah, I thought one of the keys last night is that, first of all, I thought that he was really mentally was set and ready to go. He just had a look in his eye that I hadn't seen in a while, and I thought the second thing was he was really playing downhill. He wasn't trying to shake and bake too much. He was just getting the ball and going, and we've been telling him, if you just have one good cut and go, you're a pretty special runner, and he really showed it last night. He put his foot in the ground a couple times and just took off, and he had a great game.
I know I was impressed. How impressed were you with your offense on that final drive? Because, over the years, you guys haven't necessarily been built to, go down and score in a couple of minutes like that at the end of the game. You guys really are more of a grinded out, 5, 6, 7, 8 minute drives. How impressed were you with your offense to do that at the end there and pull out the win?
I think it was a great effort. Our offensive line, I thought, was really good all night. Our offense is predicated on firing off the ball, and this group has done as well as any group that we've had. And we've got a fullback who's not afraid to lower his shoulder and get that extra yard. And we're in already this morning working on the film from last night and watching back his last touchdown and the 2-point conversion. And it's just an incredible effort by Sam Bolano to get the ball in the end zone on both those plays.
I know in the moment you're trying not to think about it and you're moving on to the next play, but man, looking back, how nervous was it when you have that sure touchdown there at the goal line there on that final drive and the receiver drops it, and now you're looking at a 3rd and 10 and then a 4th and 10?
Yeah, it was it was one of those things. I think the kids were certainly in the moment. We're down a little bit. But here's a perfect example. Keenan Nordley played great for us last night. And he's a kid that on the wheel route had it in his hands, but it would have been a great catch if he made it. And, he comes up, and we just watched the film back, and he had the key block on the 2-point conversion. If he doesn't block the guy that he blocks, and really it's what we call a pancake block. He's a 150-pound kid, and he gets a pancake block on the end zone, at the goal line. And we have no chance of making that 2-point conversion. So that's the type of resiliency we're trying to instill in our kids, and we really feel that this senior group is responding to that.
We're talking with Hononegah Coach Tim Sughroue. Their team won a big game last night with the Boylan, and they're tied for first place at 2-0. I always like to talk about special teams, but that was a special teams game. That did cause some heartache and pain for both sides last night.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Special teams was a major factor, and we missed a a critical extra point that could have came back to haunt us. But I thought our special teams did a great job. Our kick return, we work it every single day. And, a lot of people middle wedge, but we try to do a number system. And so we can watch film and we know exactly who got a block and who didn't. And our kids have done really well with that in practice. And it was nice to see us get some really good field position out of our kick return last night.
It really felt like an old school football game last night. I don't want to go over the top with anything, but I can't imagine you've been in too many more games that were much more physical than that was last night.
No, we've certainly been in some physical games over the years, but I said last night, and I don't think it gets said enough. This is really just as much a credit about Boylan's program as it is about our win last night. 75 wins in a row. That's because they've been a great physical team. They're one of the most elite teams in the state of Illinois. And, people just think about that, 75 wins in a row. It's an incredible accomplishment by Coach Cacciatore, Coach Pino when he was there. And, so we're proud of the fact that we were the team to knock them off after all those years. But I can't say enough about them and their program. It's just outstanding.
You're talking about watching the tape. I watch Hoosiers a lot. I'm always worried that Hickory's not going to win at the end, even though I know they do. When you're watching that tape, do you say, wow, how did we win this game? Is that the kind of the feeling you get after the game, or you just say, well, this was a good game for us?
Yeah, I really didn't feel that way. I just felt like the whole night that our kids were making plays and we were going to have a chance to win, and that's all you can ask for. And, we had the same thing last year. As hard as last year was, it was a great high school football game. Yep. And the other thing that I've mentioned a number of times is that, what great entertainment the last 2 years by both teams. And I can't imagine why somebody would want to sit home on a Friday night when you can go watch a variety of games like that throughout the area and watch our young kids go out and compete and show what kind of men they are. And I thought the last 2 years by both teams were that the kids on both sides of the ball were just outstanding.
What about the job your defense did on Demery Crawford? You look at the stats, and he's got nothing to be ashamed of. He had a great game. But I thought you guys did a good job, kind of corralling him in spots, not letting him make the big plays on the outside with his feet, other than that touchdown at the end.
Right. That's one thing we did talk about all week long, is that he's going to make good plays. And we can't hang our head when they have big plays. And they hit that big pass early, and we were concerned. It was junior defensive back for us, so let him get behind him. And he's a player, and we were worried that he'd get down. And we just went and talked to him about, hey, keep your head up. It's a long game. And he came back and had the interception at the goal line at the end. So there's no doubt about it. Demery's a talented player, and we knew he was going to have plays, but we just had to limit how much success he had, and I thought our defense did a great job of that.
Talk about resiliency. It obviously doesn't matter since you guys won the game, but how frustrating was that punt at the beginning of the game where it looked like you guys had the touchdown?
Yeah. And, it was the correct call. It's a correct call. In high school football, if it's muffed and it goes in, there's a difference between a muff and a fumble.
Okay.
It was a muff. And if it's muffed and it crosses the goal line, it's just like any other. You cannot run a ball out of the end zone, and once it goes into the end zone, it's an automatic touchback. It's just one of those unfortunate rules in high school football that works out for the receiving team. And it was the correct call by the officials. And as disappointing as it was it was the right call, and we wouldn't have wanted anything else to happen and then be questioned later on. So I'm glad they got it right.
Well, it doesn't get any easier. Next week, you guys take on the Blue Thunder from Belvedere North. What do you think about that matchup? You got to get ready for that one now.
Well, I give our kids credit as much as they enjoyed the win. On the way home on the bus, they really weren't talking about Boylan. It was all about North and what they needed to do. So they were already talking about the big game coming up Friday night. And I talked to the kids when we got back about. There are many people who think that North is the most talented team in the league this year. So we're going, getting out of the frying pan into the fryer, as they say, right? And if we're not ready to play, this win won't seem as good if we don't come out and take care of business and play well next week.
Well, thanks so much, Coach, for taking time out on your busy day. I know you got a lot of stuff to do. We appreciate it, and congratulations on the big win last night.
Hey, we appreciate you covering high school football, and thanks for having me on.
We've been talking to Hononegah football coach Tim Sughroue. I'll tell you what, between him and Cacciatore, we've had two class acts talk today.
And it really was, and that's the thing you got to feel good about with both of them. Cacciatore after the game had nothing but good things to say about Hononegah and the effort that they gave, and his own kids too, but Hononegah and earning the victory. And credit Coach Sughroue, about, just praising Boylan on what they were able to do. And he's right, if Boylan wasn't so good for so long, that
would be
no
win, fun.
That win doesn't mean a thing, So credit to both sides. Great game, great programs. Last night was what high school sports is all about.
And we've only just begun the season. So we're going to come back. We're going to hear from Coach Morrow and talk about next week's schedule, and also about the prep rally at Back Road Auto Mall. Should be a good day. We'll be back in a moment here on the Stateline Sports Hour.
Hey, this is Greg Saunders, your host for the Saturday